All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is the private option, implementation of the private option, and those who are involved in that, if you would just come forward and state your name for the record. Very distinguished group. So thank you for being here. If you would mind stating your name for the record.
John Staley, Arkansas Medicaid.
Joe Thompson, Arkansas Legislator.
John Stevens, DHS.
Cindy Craig, Arkansas Insurance Department.
Dan Honey, Arkansas Insurance Department.
Thank you. You're recognized.
I'm going to begin with an update on our eligibility enrollment, as well as on the special language in terms of our standard terms and conditions, and talk a little about the budget cap. And then I know, obviously, we'll talk a little bit about the GAO report and the corresponding letter. So, to begin, as of August 31st, we had nearly 206,000 Arkansans who have been determined eligible for the program. Overall, our enrolling demographics remain largely the same. Even though our average age of our population is approximately 2 years older than expected, we're seeing a continued decrease in that average cost per person. In fact, we're down $8.37 from our peak in April, and currently are at $485.58 per month. In terms of our the special language in relation to the Healthcare Independence Program, as we've discussed, we've submitted those changes to CMS. Largely, that's a change related to the non-emergency transportation program, the cost share requirements, and the independence accounts. And those are submitted to CMS on September 15th. And we are continuing to have discussions with them so we can go ahead and get that approved. And then the last item, there was an article in the paper yesterday, so folks may have already had a chance to look through that. But as you may be aware, we do not intend to ask CMS for an adjustment to the budget neutrality cap for the waiver. And that's largely due to a few things. One being the decreasing age and less than projected wraparound costs that we're seeing amongst the enrollees, in addition to the preliminary rates for the 2015 calendar year. Given that, we feel comfortable that we're not going to need the adjustment, and so as a result, we do not plan to ask for it.
All right.
Madam Chairman, I know many of you are aware that there was a report that General Government Accounting Office put out recently. There was a report about the way that HHS approves waivers, these 1115 demonstration waivers, and it particularly focused on their approval of our waiver for the Healthcare Independence Program. We're happy to answer, if there are any questions, which I think there might be, we're happy to answer questions about it. I will say that the report really focuses on a long-standing difference between the GAO and HHS over procedures, over how HHS does it. To my knowledge, they didn't ask us any questions, didn't ask us for any material, didn't come down here. I think it was specifically between GAO and HHS. What I can tell you is that I think their projections of what it might have cost if we just expanded Medicaid, that there would have been some savings there. I think that got people's attention. What I can tell you is that they based that on the assumption that we could add 200,000 adults to the Medicaid program, almost doubling the program, not have to raise rates at all, and still be able to get them access comparable to someone in the private insurance market. And I would say our healthcare providers are pretty generous and have always done a good job serving the Medicaid population, which is mostly kids. But I haven't talked to anybody in Arkansas who thinks we could have added 200,000 adults and not had an access problem if we didn't raise rates some. What we're doing with our independence program is really, it is a big test for the country. We're looking at trying to reduce the Medicaid rolls, trying to put more people on private insurance, trying to strengthen the private insurance market, which we think will reduce rates for not only us, but for the federal government. We're trying to reduce the transfer of cost from people who are uninsured to those of us who are fortunate enough to have insurance. And we're trying to protect our healthcare providers and not put an undue burden on them. I think those are all worthy goals. I think most people would agree with that. And GAO acknowledged that they just didn't really get into any of that. They were really looking at kind of HHS's analysis and their procedures, saying we don't like them. We don't like what they did in Arkansas. That dispute's going to go on. They made recommendations to Congress to make changes. Congress has not taken them up on those recommendations. So I think that dispute will continue. But again, we're happy to answer any questions we can about the report. It's just not something that we had any interaction with GAO on.